Thank you for joining us. This PowerPoint presentation and the accompanying narration was created for East Texas Baptist University for the course Criminal Justice 3316, Critical Incident Management. And I'm Dr. Eric Hillman. In this course, we use the textbook Managing Critical Incidents and Large-Scale Event Security by Eloy Nunez and Ernest Vendrell. This is published by CRC Press. As you watch this video and this PowerPoint presentation, I would encourage you to take notes, since what you see here you'll be accountable for on the next exam. Also, watching this video is designed to be a supplement to reading the text and not a replacement for reading the text. Chapter 5 deals with strategic planning, a systems approach. We have divided Chapter 5 into several segments for online teaching. This makes online viewing easier and also makes online uploading easier. So this is Chapter 5A. Once you view and take notes on Chapter 5A, I then encourage you to continue to Chapter 5B. You have seen this diagram before. This deals with the three spheres of critical incident management. The tactical command deals with a specific problem. It has the smallest focus. The operational command deals with day-to-day operations. They have a larger scope in mind. And the strategic sphere deals with the overall big picture. So, for instance, in the police department, the police chief is in the strategic command or the strategic sphere. He has to look at the big picture for the entire police department. A captain of a patrol division may be at the operational or day-to-day level, making sure police operations continue and are successful day-to-day. And at the tactical command, the tactical commander deals with a specific problem, what we call the tactical sphere. For instance, the SWAT commander is a tactical commander, and he has one very specific goal, and that is to make a raid that ends in saving the lives of hostages, for instance, and if necessary, taking the life of the hostage taker or the terrorist. In previous chapters, we've discussed both the tactical sphere and the operational sphere. In this chapter, we're going to talk about the strategic sphere. This is the big picture sphere. Sun Tzu is from 5th century China. He wrote a book called The Art of War. Interestingly, he was a very intelligent man, a very brilliant military leader, and his book, The Art of War, is still studied in military colleges to this day, not just in China, across the world, across the globe. One of the quotes from Sun Tzu in his book, The Art of War, of course translated from ancient Chinese into modern English: people should not be unfamiliar with strategy. Those who understand it will survive. Those who do not understand it will perish. So strategy, this is the big sphere, big picture. He understood you had to understand strategy to survive, not just in the military, but in any large endeavor. The systems approach to strategic planning. Well, strategic planning is the focus of this chapter. And so what do we mean by systems approach? In the diagram of the right, you have an organizational chart. This is a typical simple organization for ICS, the Incident Command System. At the top, you have an incident commander. Answering directly to him or her You have a public information officer, a liaison officer, and a safety officer. Then you have 4 sections. The operations section chief tends to be the largest section of the ICS command. You also have a planning section led by a chief, a logistics section led by a chief, and a finance section led by a chief. As I have said previously, you will see this organizational chart on either a quiz or a test in the future. This is only the basic organizational chart. This chart can grow and expand as needed. So when we look at this organizational chart, we're going to look at systems and elements. What is a system? It's a group of interacting elements forming a complex whole. So this whole chart, looking at the big picture of this chart, looking at it as a whole, is a system. Each one of these boxes in the chart is an element that has to interact with the other elements, and that is what we call a system. Systems are comprised of elements and processes. Each element here is represented by a box. Each box is an organization, a division, a department, a place, an object, or a person. In the ICS system, each of these boxes represents a person, the section chiefs of each of the sections, for instance, but it also represents a division or department or organization, because underneath each of these section chiefs you will usually have many people working. So those are the elements. The processes are the interactions between those elements, the relationships between them, the communication, the funding, the information, etc. And so in a systems approach, you understand both the elements, who is it you're dealing with, and the processes. In what ways do they communicate, interact, fund, share information, etc. Both are important in a systems approach to strategic planning. Every system is composed of subsystems, which are smaller. So in this diagram, if your system is everything inside the biggest circle, then everything inside that would be a subsystem. Each system has defined boundaries, and anything outside of your system then would be called a metasystem. So if we look at this diagram, and our system is the 5 dark circles, then the metasystem, which is larger than the system, would be everything outside the inner circle. However, a subsystem of the system of the 5 dark circles would be simply one of those dark circles. Well, how do we tell what is a subsystem, what is a system, and what is a metasystem? That all depends on your perspective, because you have to decide what your unit of analysis is. When you see the word U, that means unit of analysis. So in this picture, we will say that, where's the U? The very center circle has the letter unit. If that's our unit of analysis, then everything outside of that circle is the metasystem. On the other hand, if the 5 dark circles is our unit of analysis, then everything outside is the metasystem, but everything inside of those 5 circles is a subsystem. So if our unit of analysis is the 5 dark circles, then one dark circle by itself is a subsystem of our unit of analysis. That may sound complicated, it really isn't. Let's just use some practical world examples. We have a solar system. By solar system, I mean the sun that we see in the sky and the 9 planets. There's only 8 in this picture. When I was a kid, Pluto was a planet, and then they downgraded Pluto to not being a planet, and now they're talking about upgrading it to being a planet again. So when I was in school, they said there was 9 planets. So let's say our unit of analysis is our solar system. Then anything smaller than our solar system and inside it would be a subsystem. So if our unit of analysis is a solar system, then Earth, the 3rd planet from the Sun, would be a subsystem of our solar system. Each one of these planets is a subsystem of our solar system. Does our solar system have a metasystem, something bigger than our solar system? So, in this picture of our Milky Way, now Milky Way means our galaxy. Our solar system is only one small star with a few planets around it, and there are thousands, if not millions of stars in our Milky Way galaxy system. So, if we look at our solar system as a unit of analysis, then the metasystem, everything outside the solar system, would be the metasystem. And the Milky Way galaxy then would be the metasystem to the solar system. So anything you look at has both a subsystem and a metasystem. Look at your hand right now. If your hand is a unit of analysis, what is the subsystem to your hand? Well, each of your fingers is a subsystem to your hand. Each of your fingernails is a subsystem to your hand. Each of your fingerprints is a subsystem to your hand. If your hand is a unit of analysis, what is the metasystem to your hand? Well, the metasystem would be your arm and the rest of your body and the rest of your world. Therefore, it all depends on what our unit of analysis is. If there's 4 green boxes here, on the very bottom, if Earth is our unit of analysis, then the metasystems are the solar system, the Milky Way, and the universe. If the solar system is our unit of analysis, then Earth is a subsystem, and the Milky Way galaxy is a metasystem. What about in the human body? We mentioned your hand. So let's say you are the unit of analysis. You personally are the unit of analysis. Do you have subsystems? Yes, you do. Your skeletal system is a subsystem. It's a part of you. Your nervous system, meaning your brain and nerves, is a part of you. That's a subsystem. Your cardio system, your heart, veins, and arteries, is a subsystem. Your vascular system, your lungs and breathing, is a subsystem. Your digestive system is a subsystem of you. And your muscular system is a subsystem of you. Those are all subsystems. So you as a person have many subsystems. What about metasystems? Do you as a person have metasystems? If you are the unit of analysis, assuming you are the unit of analysis, and here we'll use the lady in the center of the picture. If she's our unit of analysis, what are her metasystems? Well, her family, her husband and children are a metasystem outside of herself, but within a system within which she functions. Her church is a metasystem. The grocery store is a metasystem. It's outside of her, but something that system within which she functions. And the political system, the Congress, the House of Representatives, the Senate, these are all metasystems to her. They're systems of which she is a part. So you personally have not only many subsystems, you have many metasystems. And why do we say all this? Because I'm trying to introduce you to a systems approach to strategic planning. Well, what if the human cell is your unit of analysis? A human cell is so small that you can't see it without a microscope. And yet there are 100 billion atoms in a human cell. 100 trillion, I guess. So if you have a human cell that's even too small to see with the naked eye, what are the subsystems of that human cell? Well, you have 100 trillion atoms in there. So 100 trillion atoms are the subsystem of the human cell. Does that human cell have a metasystem? It sure does. Because it's going to take more than 100 trillion of those cells to make a human body. And although you can't see just one cell with the naked eye, yes, you can see it with a microscope, but you can't see just one cell with the naked eye. However, if you put 100 trillion cells together, it makes a human body, which you can see with the naked eye. So if the human cell is your unit of analysis, the metasystem is the human body and every other of those 100 trillion cells. And that's where we'll end chapter 5A. Once you've viewed this video and taken notes, and you do need to take notes for your next test, I would encourage you to proceed to chapter 5B. Have a great day.